which they really is, it's never slowed down. I tell everybody, you know, we're the only county that didn't shut down.
Oh, that the other ones did?
All of them did. My staff, they're there every day. We canceled two juries, and then we made them up. I sent out 1,200 juries there 2 weeks. And then we made them up, made one of them up. And then, as far as marriage license, I shut that down until I could arrange to do it safely. So that was about 10 days. We had people, and I stopped people from out of state. All those states that shut down. So I had people from Texas, Colorado, and all for marriage license. I said,
They were coming here for marriage license?
I said, we're not
agendas other than,
I do. I was just gonna wait to pass them out so we didn't get all mixed up.
you write it down
Hey.
in 4 books.
how's your vacation?
Oh, I had one day.
One day, I thought you were taking two. I didn't wanna bother you, there was nothing. I just, I tried, hold of the diversion,
Yeah.
they said they would do it. So I just put it on this agenda. And,
Okay.
and then we had, we saw,
He's serious.
Oh.
That bag was from, what was?
they weren't gonna,
Oh, you never.
they weren't gonna say anything.
Mom did
Oh, wow.
Harry. She said,
Hurry up.
she said, call Northbridge President.
You never did.
Remind me your last name.
Anderson.
You get it as an adult.
I'll intercede in.
I had it.
I'm very the first time I talked to
Right, that's what I said. Let's hope not.
But your sons will be able
Well, you know, we had
to have one on
one of our,
like that.
one of our
The only reason I left
ladies from North Carolina,
Well, it's not
I said,
ugly.
she's damn good.
Nobody else does.
My guy is
So,
probably like, I don't know.
where there's this one, she was saying, around because you're short.
Nobody's right.
How are they short?
This is just what work out.
You know,
There you
sit
go.
there and, you know, when two people quit my office. it's
Yeah, I
like,
put out, I didn't know what
you step up
I never
and,
won.
Well, you did a good job.
so,
I go up to,
and then.
guy named Kurt,
The
shop.
contract employees, they
Anyway,
don't like it
I
after
go
they
in
do.
there.
Now,
Got no name, man. He said, how many do you want? And I was doing the basement.
That was the war
Let's
act.
start out with
Terry
25
was.
That's what he said, and I go,
She got the
Think it's on
legislature to fund it.
you got it? So then what I did is,
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to let you know that.
see,
Don't worry about it.
I go over another 25,000.
You know what? I don't think they see
But I
CC.
got smart.
They do CCA because
They do?
Yeah.
That's and
You put your
I
sliders
said,
up.
this is it. I don't remember if your name was on it.
I said, what if I do this? What if
I don't think they-
sign out Friday night?
It would go nuts.
And I pick them up Sunday.
Well,
And they just look at me, how do I do that?
he,
So that's what we did.
About it.
Before you got crazy, in the city, you want to come up here?
Yeah. That's save them for next time, save some money.
Gives us a forum, right, Judge?
I think we're here.
I don't think they'll get it.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we call this meeting to order here. How's it going, gentlemen? How are you?
Good.
See how you, sir? Glad to be here. Glad you guys are here. So, it's Thursday, September 9th, 1:30. We're gonna call the meeting to order for the Court Service Advisory Board. And, do we have anybody visiting electronic? We're not doing anything virtual right now as far as taking action to reset the time right now. We don't get to do that part.
No, I
I don't think so. I don't think.
We don't have anybody on.
So we don't have anybody virtual. So let's call to order, roll call. Let's see.
Got here, Rick Warren.
Judge Stoner,
Jim Anderson for Tommy Johnson.
Steve Huddleston and for the DA's office.
Bob Evans, public defender.
so we do have a quorum. So we'll start with, first item on the agenda, which is the approval of minutes, discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of July 15th, 2021.
So- I move we approve them.
Second.
Motion made, second, we approve the motion. Any objection? Seeing no objection, carries. That ask for objection. If there's been motion's been made and seconded, no objection, that good enough? Okay, thank you. Second item on the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the day reporting center at North Care status. There's been a lot of activity on that.
I think it's a practical matter. The county is no longer paying North Care any money for doing it. I guess they're doing whatever cases they have left. But as a practical matter, and their numbers are down 95% since they were years ago. One time we had 70 or 80, but he's here.
Let me ask you about that.
He's behind you.
Okay, JD, JD have a report on, let's see. JD, you have any report right now?
You should have.
Okay, I have right here the day reporting for July. And it's like, July, and I have August on here as well. And so, do a motion to accept the report for July and August.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Any objections? There's no objections. The motion will carry, and the report from North Care is accepted. And my understanding, since the county is really winding this program down, funds to be reallocated to the high utilizer program. Is that correct?
We're hopeful, yes, that the county hasn't been asked or whatever, but that's in the process. They had a meeting at North Care and whatever, and 3 weeks ago, and they discussed the issue. We're trying to. The big problem is the high utilizers issue is really a city issue initially.
Okay.
In other words, what's going on is most of the high utilizers have been cut loose 10 or 12 times by the city, okay? And they're rearrested because they don't show up or whatever, and the city doesn't want to pay to keep them in jail because they're, so as a practical matter, they only become high utilizers with county charges when they hit a deputy or when they spit on a police officer, or one of the cases that I brought up because I looked at it was a woman who probably had 40 some odd contacts in the last 2 years. In other words, she's been in and out of jail 40 times. She got arrested for trespass and then flashed the officer. And the officer filed an indecent exposure on her.
I see.
So it became a county charge that wouldn't otherwise do it. The big problem right now is Mr. Tartabono brought it up to the Criminal Advisory Council, and the chief, the deputy chief was at the meeting at North Care. The chief seems to think we need statutory authorization to cut trespassers loose with just a ticket or take them to North Care or whatever, which was our goal, do something similar to detox. So we're in the process of looking at that right now.
Okay.
But the problem, as I pointed out with that, is that there's always a victim, and as a property owner myself, some of these trespassers aren't just walking across the property, they're destroying the property.
It's a lot of really smart people have been trying to figure this out for a while, and hopefully we can keep making progress on it. I guess my question for this item, since it's no longer going to be North Care Day reporting has really ceased now, and no one else is gonna be brought in on it, do we need to have this item? Can we strike this item from our court services, advisory board meeting?
I don't know, are you still running it?
The day reporting is going to continue. We have funding through the Department of Mental Health,
Okay.
and so we're continuing it, but not, the caseload is going to be smaller since we just have the funding through the Department of Mental Health now. So it will be continuing, it's just that, no, we are not receiving funds from the county.
Okay. Well, for the purposes of this court service advisory board, we want to continue to have some kind of oversight on it, keep this as a regular standing item.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it just to have it.
Do you see the number?
It's a 1 minute deal. So you know, I know North Care went to Denver and observed this police program that's being run in Denver, and I don't know if they're going to talk when they're going to do something with it, but it involved that a certified mental health professional went with law enforcement to a lot of the instances where you got a trespass or whatever. But again, that requires statutory authorization to do that.
I see. Okay. Well, I think that if there's nothing else on item number 2, we'll go ahead and keep this on the agenda and still continue to get a report from North Care as to the status. Item number 3 is discussion of possible action regarding the Court Service Bureau monthly statistics report. July and August issues. Grant?
Yeah. Again, while you guys are looking at those months, I can go over a few, highlight a few numbers. Without conditions, 55 qualified, 47 were approved. Supervised 381, with conditions or conditions on. 67 presented to judges who were sent by them, 45 approved, 205 supervised. That's July.
Any questions?
So the number of GPS, we now have 115 on GPS.
That's how many have been approved for the year. For the month, it was 28, and that number's going up, which is a good thing. Because remember when we first started the program, when we started the indigent fund, it was very, very limited. We were only getting.
So the number for clients supervised is 94. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, and they come and go. You know, they get taken off and put on, but it is tremendously grown, and I think the number of indigent folks compared to the number of other is more than now.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
way
Father.
more indigent than healthy.
Right.
Way more.
So as it began, the indigent fund was very, very rarely used. Now it's being used regularly. So
What is the, I guess at some point there's my understanding was like $50,000 that was in a fund to pay for indigent IOU,
Correct.
GPSs, and as it gets drawn down, I don't know, we ought to maybe have I don't know how frequently, but
Yeah,
we still have enough in there for.
yeah, there's never been a problem. I've had to go to the budget board a couple times to ask for additional funding, and they approved it right away, and we'll continue to do that as those funds get down and dwindle. We'll request additional funding and get that put in there.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, Mr. Billingsley, on the statistics, monthly statistics? So we got another. So then I asked that, is there a motion that this report be accepted? This is for July and August.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any objection? No objection, carries. And then, so item number 4 is discussion and possible action regarding the Court Services Bureau Judicial Statistics Report. That's the little grid there on the back.
Yeah, these are the same numbers you saw in the other form. These are the conditional bond numbers, so same numbers with total and approved.
I'm curious about, I guess, as going forward, I may have this for agenda item, if they blended these two together. Is there a reason that we were doing separately where they put a separate monthly item? So just for sake of efficiency for next month, combining items number 3 and 4 in just one report?
We can. The reason why this board requested this additional report, and at that time, there was a column for, well, the column's there for DA objections, because during that time, there was a large amount of DA objections for release, and a lot of times that was followed and those folks weren't getting released. But then with further communication, lots of meetings, it was decided that that wasn't necessary and there wouldn't be any more objections. So that fell off, and that was one of the main purposes for this report. But because those don't exist anymore, objections, we've still continued the report though, which we can certainly, it's the same numbers that are on the other report, we can
Well, yeah,
continue it or whatever is your pleasure.
I mean, I guess it's always helpful to track kind of who's doing what, so if you can see if there's an issue. I mean, would anybody have any objection to just for the next month, confining these into just one agenda item, save us some paper, and is that appropriate? Anybody have any, as chairman, do I have that pleasure of being able to direct those to be consolidated for purpose of next month?
Was it done with a vote last time to separate them?
No.
Then yeah, you can do it.
Okay, yeah, just an
All right.
additional.
We'll strike item number 4, actually combine it number 3, so next month we continue should be the discussion possible action regarding the Oklahoma County Services Bureau monthly statistics and judicial report, statistics report. Okay. So you got a motion to accept the judicial report?
Motion to accept.
Second. Motion made and seconded, any objection? Seeing no objection, motion carries, report will be accepted. Thank you. Item number 5, discussion and possible action regarding emergency use of funds. This is the Nexus one. This is regarding the cloud-based software system that would aid in the county court service in tracking, communicating, increasing accountability, and providing safe and efficient courtrooms, alternatives to mass court dockets. Anyway, this particular item related to what we started around the beginning of the COVID, to come up with some technology to track. I think that's been implemented. I did have a conversation with prior today, see if there was anything that we needed to discuss relating to that. Oh, no, is there any report on that? I guess
I have nothing new to add on that from before.
it's up and working.
It's implemented, and it's going to be, which is a good thing. It's continuously as our needs change. It looks like they'll be able to look at those and change things for us. So it can be a continuous thing where more reports can be created in different ways we can access it. But it's up and running. We're implementing it. We're using it. And nothing new to add from us.
Are you happy with the, on the drug court side, we've been so happy with the text messaging, the mass communication features. It seemed like it's been really helpful.
Yeah, they've helped us now where we can not only automatic court reminders like the day before, but we're able to go in and just click a button and send reminders and just click. So we can, one person will they'll get an automatic reminder, but we're also able to go in where we can do it 2 days before, a week before, a month before, and just send those text reminders, and that's a big help. It just adds another layer on top of what we've been doing before, which is phone calls or emails. So yeah, that function's working well.
And just for, I guess, your off the cuff observation, I feel like it's been a useful investment with our resources.
Yeah. There are some hiccups still with that's one side, that's the case management side that it does. The reporting, us being able to print off reports and do things. There's several reports that it won't let us run. They dug into it to find out why, and they came back and said for whatever strange reason they're showing 135,000 people in our system. So because there's so many, it won't run, and so they're trying to fix that. Whatever happened on their end, that way those particular reports that we would like to run to see for ourselves will actually work. So that's the hiccup on those.
All right. Thank you, Grant.
Sure.
On this particular agenda item, you and I communicated before the meeting. I guess I want to put this board here too. This was put on this agenda for us to hopefully get it implemented, do some troubleshooting. It's been implemented, it's functioning. Do we need to have a continued update regarding the status of this cloud-based system now that's up and running?
Not unless there's a problem. If there's a problem, he can ask to have it put on, we can discuss.
That sounds good. Then I'm going to, as chairman, I'm going to strike item number 5 for future agendas, going forward with future agendas, item number 5, it's no longer relevant to our use of time and discussions of this, this body. So, thank you, Grant. Item number 6, a discussion of possible action regarding presentation of Department of Mental Health substitutes regarding whereas Pat,
I think we had a presentation last time, I don't think it needs to be on.
Yeah, I can strike that.
that was the item, because there's nothing further on.
Yeah, it was just, I believe
That
it
was
was
at one
put
time.
on in there.
It was asked to be removed after the time period for amending.
Okay, we can strike that for next month. Okay. Thank you. All right, so going on to citizen participation. Citizens may address the board during open meeting. Is there anybody here for the citizen participation? Anybody signed up for that? Seeing no citizens participation, I'm going to request board comments relevant to court services office.
None.
None.
New business, do we have any new business before this board? All right. Seeing no new business, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adjourn. Any objections to this motion? Seeing no objections, motion carries, and Court Service Advisory Board regular meeting is adjourned.
Chair will call the meeting of the Mental Health Court Board into session. Notice the meeting was properly posted Wednesday, September 8th. The chair recognizes that there is a quorum. First item is approval of the Mental Health Court minutes of July 15th, 2021, which I believe are attached to what was just ended out. Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion and action regarding the report for the mental health court presented by, the first one is discussion and possible action regarding the report on current AWOL participants. And the chair is gonna combine that with number 3, which is discussion and possible action regarding the report for the mental health court. Both Jenny is gonna present both of them for us.
Alrighty, so I want to start off with a positive, and as of today, so since January 2021, we have pled in 128 participants, which is awesome. July we did 24 plead-ins, August we did 6, and as of right now for September we have 11. Our current active count is 195, but that's not including the 11 that just pled in September. I am without an assistant right now. She's out with COVID, so I haven't had time to enter all those into our system. So my apologies, that will be entered ASAP. We have 16 currently in custody, but we're working on those. Some of those are just came in, some of those have new cases, some of those, we're trying real hard to get them immediately into inpatient treatment. We do have currently 15 in DOC for a 6 months sanction. We are slowly getting those out. We should be getting the majority of them out within the next couple of months, so 6 months is done. As for our AWOLs, that AWOL number I am not confident with. I think there's some error in some of our AWOLs in my system. So please give me until next board meeting to give you an updated correct one. I'm going to be sitting down with DOC. They are working on getting a second officer, so that will also help our AWOLs to hopefully go down. So I know for a fact we're lower than 99. I just can't give you an exact total right at this moment, but it will definitely be less than that the next board meeting. I think I was telling Mr. Roberts earlier, our tier for funding is 210 to 219. Like I said, we're currently active, we're at 195. I think by the end of the year in December, we're gonna hit that and maybe even go over. So hopefully with doing that, we will get more funding from departments.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you, Jen.
Absolutely.
Next item is, discussion and possible action regarding use of necessary office space for drug court, mental health court, and veterans treatment court. Nothing is going on, obviously, until the sixth floor build out, is done. I don't think anything's gonna be done with regards to that. I'm gonna tell the board, the county commissioners for the last, since we've had the mental health court, has supplied office space to us. This past July, I got a bill for mental health court's office space. If the county commissioners at an open board of county commissioner meeting want to sit there and vote to require us to use our funds for that, that's their business. But until they do that, I told Mr. Monroe he could send it to who needed it to have it sent, because it's a practical matter. From day one, there has always been an agreement that this was a joint effort between the county and the participants, this board and whatever, to make sure this was adequately funded. I think this is just a deal where they want to bill everybody, and my understanding is that they built me last year, and I think the board paid it. So it may just that went to the wrong person. I don't know, but we sent it down to whoever the woman is for PBA, and maybe she's going to pay it. That's fine. But to sit there and
We're pretty pleased right now.
anybody have any questions? Thanks. So I guess that goes hand in hand with the next one, discussion of possible action regarding creating a website and tracking. That's basically what you have it, DC Web, right?
Yes, mental health court web, yes.
Yeah,
I
This
think-
is more about creating an oklahomacounty.org/diversion program so that lawyers and participants and potential defendants in the program, if they want to apply for a diversion program, there is a website that shows people how to apply, how to get in. Here's your forms. Here's where you go. Because right now, the biggest complaint from lawyers is I didn't know how to do it. And I got confused. I didn't know how. So just having a website that the judges can direct somebody to. I think Commissioner Mond's office and Dee's office have been having conversations. There was an issue related to could the county actually do that with county resources, even though it was out of that was the issue on this website. And it was more about how can you track to make sure where somebody is in the system. And I guess the judges need to be educated on, you can look on OSCN and see exactly where they are in the process. So there's really not a need for the tracking system. I do think there is a great need for having a website, at least a web presence on there. And
I really don't care if you wanna do it. I have a website, okay? It's part of Oklahoma County's, but I'll put the drug court, information on it, cause I have a whole bunch of information on it. And if you give me the information, I'll just ask her to put it, or I'll have Donna put it on there. And that way, if some defendant says, hey, just go to the public defender's website, they have it on their deal. We have a whole bunch of things.
well, I appreciate that, Bob. We're trying to get help with somebody who would design an MIS that can create something that's kind of robust, where there's a tab for drug court, tab for mental health court, tab for remerge, a tab for female diversion, a tab for conditional bond, and each one of those programs are explained, and here's the forms, and here's the process. And at one point in the county, if we're trying to get people in diversion programs, make that information available. I know we talked about that. The big hiccup was Brian Mond's office wanted to do it. Everyone's in favor of it. Aaron Etherington said, I'm not so sure that we can use county resources in order to be able to build a website to educate Oklahoma County defendants and Oklahoma County defense lawyers about potentially state court programs, which again, I think it's a misunderstanding. It's not a state court program. It is a cooperative agreement between the state and the county. We just talked about this. The county's been contributing resources for office space for 20 years. So I think it is a legitimate use of funds. This is as a lawyer and a judge. Obviously, I've not spent a ton of time researching it specifically, but I don't know why this keeps coming
Well,
back.
she's said it that. I mean, I've talked to her about twice on it.
Yeah.
Now, Commissioner Mon came up to me and said something that they were looking at another way to proceed. I don't know where that went. We didn't really, he just caught me in the hall and was asking me, or telling me that, I think that we figured out something that we can do, but that's the last I've heard of it.
Mike, could you check and report back to us next month if Brian's gotten some other ideas?
I won't report back, but I'll have that move forward.
Let's move forward on it. Okay. Sounds good to me. So,
Well, I think what would be helpful is we'll figure it out one way or the other, and why don't you notify the courts to start putting together stuff that they would want on the website. That way, once we figure out a way to get this approved, we'll have it all ready to go.
I like that, as long as we got some really approval. The time for work that doesn't turn into a project is something I don't have a lot of bandwidth for, but maybe if we've got some assurance we can get something up one way or another, we can start gathering the information for it.
I think what it is, if we have it, we could probably contact a private nonprofit that would build us a website if that's what we end up having to do.
If we had to do that, but to me, I still don't really understand the specifics of the objection from the DA's office. I mean, I would say that just generally, but I mean, Ms. Etherington just has an opinion that this is a state court program, even though we put state court defendants in our county jail. We pay rent for these offices for these programs. It's a cooperative agreement between the state and the county, and we're directing defendants that are in Oklahoma County on how to apply for certain types of programs that are cooperative agreements, directing lawyers how to get the cases through, how to download the forms.
I agree with you,
Yeah,
but you're not. If once Erin makes up her mind, she's never going to change it. Let me tell you. And I think if we're serious about wanting to do this as soon as possible, we ought to look at other options. That's my view. I mean, maybe you could talk her into it, Judge.
Well, with logic and reason, law. I mean, we could look at the law. What the law says. I don't think the law. I think the fear that's based in misunderstanding. I think is what it is. It's based on the fact that these are state court programs, and in reality, they are cooperative agreements between the state and county. But I don't know how we get to use the jail for state court defendants, because they're state court defendants. If we can use the jail, if they can use the building, and if we can use security, if we can use courthouse deputies. It's all, it's a cooperative agreement between all of them. You can't use a county resource to build a website, direct lawyers for how to apply their client, but I don't know.
Well, she's the head of the civil division in Oklahoma County District Attorney's Office.
That's
One
fine.
David Prater relies on her opinion quite a bit, and I would say that if somebody is trying to sway her opinion, then they need to go talk to her.
We'll never try that.
Maybe try that.
All right.
I have a,
Well,
I have a great relationship with her, and I can speak to her.
And if that doesn't work, why don't we just ask the legislator to ask the attorney general for attorney general's opinion? Can the county expend
I think
funds?
you go upstairs and visit.
Yeah, we can get an AG opinion on whether we can use county MIS to build a website. Okay. All right, well, let's see what we're gonna do to make progress on that.
Okay. Let's leave it on the agenda then
Yes, please.
next month. Okay, last item is, I put this on, we have, obviously had issues with not having sufficient case management in mental health. Jenny can't do it all herself, especially with the numbers just going through the roof. We have sufficient funds in the mental health court account to hire a case manager. It'd have to be a contracted basis because we can't, well, we don't have any employees in mental health. And so it would be a contracted, and I talked to Steve and Madison, and most of the mental health people end up in the diversion hub one way or the other. So the idea was to contract with the diversion hub on a dedicated employee at the diversion hub to handle case management. And then Jenny and the district attorney and my office would work and develop criteria for what they want the case manager to be doing. And I just, I think it'd be a real great resource. I think it'll cut down considerably on our absconders. I think that once we find them. Secondly, and this may be a longer term deal, we may ask the sheriff if we could contract with his people if we have to go out to find one or two of those people with our person. But until we know exactly what the case manager is doing and what our needs are, I don't have that on the agenda. But I mean, I know community sentencing contracts with law enforcement. I don't know who they actually use, if it's the sheriff or the police department, to go out on their home visits. So there's something we could ultimately do. It's worked real well. I know what Captain Bradley is, or Lieutenant Bradley is doing for the sheriff is just phenomenal. And I just what I'd like to do is partner with the sheriff to do more of that through the mental health court or through maybe all the diversion programs long term. But let's, this is the first start, and I'd just like everybody to okay it.
I think I would support that. I mean, obviously the details, the amounts and what they would do, I'd like to see that, but these people need heavy case management.
Yes.
And they do, the more oversight case managers got, the better they do.
To give you an example, we have the quote 99, whatever that number is, out of the range of people AWOL in mental health court. If you go to vet treatment court, we have none, or we had one. So, you know, you're talking about a wide range of different people in different diversion courts. And in mental health court, you have a lot of transient people with not a lot of contacts. And we need to be a lot more proactive in trying to get these people in, because when we have people, we have 99 people, quote 99 people AWOL, and we don't have any way of trying to find them, then we're not doing anything for the programs or for them. And when we have one probation officer assigned to mental health court, and he's up to here with what he needs to do, he doesn't have the time. We've got to look at outside sources or be more proactive and trying to get as many of these people back into the program that we can.
So do we need to make a motion to?
Yeah, just a motion to,
Seek out,
to outsource this, yeah.
yeah, make a motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Citizen participation, any citizen wishing to participate? Board comments, any board comments? New business, any new business? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. The chair will call the meeting of Dui Court Board into session. Notice was, meeting was properly posted Wednesday, September 8th. The chair recognizes there's a quorum. First item is discussion and possible approval of the minutes of July 15th. I think it's in your packet.
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr.
Second.
Warren, second by Mr. Huddleston. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item is discussion of possible action regarding the Dui Court statistical. Madison, you got anything for us?
I have a few numbers. Hi guys, we are growing in drug court also, just like mental health court is. My numbers today are that we have 392 participants, which is huge. Our August active count was 370. We had a very busy Labor Day weekend with AWOL participants being arrested. So we currently have 15 people in custody. We have 22 that are pending plea, 27 pending applications with the DA's office. Drug court has 124 AWOL participants. 2 of them have been in touch with the program in the past few weeks, and we're working on getting them back engaged. I think we've got lots of exciting stuff going on, a potential partnership with the Arnold Foundation to figure out how to best serve. We want to continue to grow, but we want to grow in a way that serves the participants and we don't just care about numbers. We want to help them the best way we can. Anything else that I'm missing, Judge?
No, I don't know. I do want to give some credit to the DA's office. They've been much more responsive in terms of getting people through the application process more quickly. And so I think that's probably, they deserve a bit of the credit for getting our numbers kind of where, because our funding from DMH is tied to how many people have in the program. And when our numbers are low, we keep cutting our funding. And so for a long time, we were right around this 390 to 400 number, but then we dipped down to 340 due to just couldn't get people through backlog COVID, and then sort of DMH cut our funding, and now we're getting back and hopefully get some more funding for the program back. And I think I just want to thank the DA's office for helping lubricate that process and really pushing those cases through.
And being open-minded to bringing AWOL participants back into the program rather than having them revoked, I think is huge. The funding piece from DMH, one other thing we're working on is we get categorized green, yellow, orange, red. In drug court, we're in the green category, which is the highest. DUI court, we're categorized as orange, but it's because the risk assessment tool we're using is not validated for DUIs. And so they're scoring as low risk, which impacts our tier, even though they are clearly high-risk people. They have 4 pending felony DUIs. That's high risk, but we have to convince the Department of Mental Health to fund us using another risk assessment that adequately shows the risk of DUI court. And if we can get our color bumped up for DUI court, we will get more money from DUI.
Have we requested that?
Yes.
Who we requested to?
I have talked to our field rep, Nichelle, who has talked to Deidre and Tammy about it, but I'm not sure what the status is.
Okay, let me go, if we're unsuccessful, I have the director on speed dial, so, I'll talk to her. Like, they don't have, that's utterly ridiculous. Somebody who has 4 DUIs is a pretty dangerous individual as far as I'm concerned. It's clearly high risk to harm somebody in the community or whatever. To not give us adequate funding for that is utterly ridiculous, and take that away from us. So, yeah, or we bring that up with the legislature too.
Yep, I'll keep you posted.
Anybody have any questions? How are we on the AWOLs, Madison? That's under 5. I'll skip.
So we currently have 124 AWOL participants. Some of them have been AWOL since 2008. So it's not a really fair representation of what's happening currently. But we are working pretty actively to try to figure out how to get them back in one way or the other.
You could send a picture of Judge Stoner and say he's a real fair guy. All these people from 2008 through 2012 and see if we can get them back, you know.
I think there are also a lot of them that were only in the program on simple possessions when it was a felony that we could pretty easily get wrapped up with them not going into custody if we could find a way to get a hold of them. It just will take some manpower to try to track them down.
That may be something we have, you know, some of the people we have working for us, doing some stuff, a dissertation, or the person that's also law school who's working for us through you, maybe that'd be a good project she could look into.
Yes, I agree.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you. Discussion and possible action of regarding future disposition of closed drug court files. Rick takes care of them for us. They're at his warehouse and they're locked up where they need to be. We're following the same statutes. One of these days when we have some time, we'll purge the files that are over a certain number of years old. But
We need to keep this item on the agenda for now.
yeah, sure. Necessary office space, I'll just leave that on there, but again, nothing's gonna happen for a while. Discussion and possible action regarding drug court budget. I have the drug court funds and current funding. We're gonna be changing the accounts that are gonna be used to better track it, and the auditor actually suggested that we use a voucher account to deposit the money instead of the drug court fund account. Now we'll have to move money into the drug court fund account to pay for certain things that are through what's the county munis program, but it will hopefully work a lot better, and it'll be a lot easier for everybody to understand once we get it put together. These are just the expenditures for July and August and the current balance. Again, we saved close to $80,000 last year by not having a coordinator for a full year, so that's $80,000 that's in the budget. I'm not just talking about salary, but benefits and whatever. So that's why the amount of money is so large. Any questions? Chair will entertain a motion to accept the report.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Judge, you want to give us a quick update on Connexus? Just doing well, right?
Next, you're doing well. The one issue there we're gonna have to just kind of work through is just, it took a while for the lab part to be able to connect with the cloud-based, so everything's all in there. And so we bought this a year ago, and really it just became fully functional a month or so ago. But they just sent us our second year's invoice, and so I need to go back to them and say we'd really like not to pay for it, to have a reduced fee. We have been using it with the mass texting feature since last summer. It's been very helpful. That part of it has been, but it's just taking quite a bit. So I'm gonna try to negotiate a discount both for Dui Court and Mental Health Court, just because it's taken, and it's really been between the lab and Connexus that there's this whole little, they have to interface together, and then for a long time they couldn't get it to our lab to be able to communicate with the software guys, and half of it was their fault because they kept pushing back. We'd like to come, but somebody had COVID, we'd like to come, but we had a rush project, we'd like to come. And so it really just became operational a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, but they sent us a bill to start paying for the second year, but it's going to take it to be fully functional. So that's the only update that I have on that.
Okay, see if you can negotiate it. Last item is update regarding a new drug court coordinator.
We've had yet again another interview, job offer decline, and that was a month and a half ago. And we're kicking around some ideas about maybe rethinking what that role does a little bit. One of the things that we had wanted a coordinator to be able to do is to be able to understand development, to be able to go out and engage the community, kind of community relations, and potentially ask for contributions, or and now we have an outside volunteer who's wanting to come in, and she's actually a good friend with Miss Basie. She's retired and wants to help on a volunteer basis do some community outreach for us. She visited Drug Court yesterday to get a sense of the program, and so we're developing a relationship with her. And that might change what the duties of a coordinator we want to have. And so we're just, right now, we don't have any firm plans. We're looking and we're trying to be creative. Actually, we've had 4 different people we've identified offered a job to that declined it for a number of reasons. Usually for that, the job market in Oklahoma County right now for professionals to have the kind of skill set that we're looking for it's just really tight. It's really tight. I mean, so it's not a competitive salary is what we're hearing. Even with the modest raise that we put on it last year. And so for the kind of person that we want, but it's such a key spot that we've been able to function, although painfully, hope to make progress on that soon.
On the modest salary, are you able to increase it?
Well, that's the question. I mean, so right now it has historically paid between $45,000 and $50,000 a year for a leadership position that has very high management skills and organizational skills, and also maybe some development skills. And so we went to Mr. Rabbit, so we went from maybe 50 to 55. He approved that, and then we offered 55 for a couple of people that we wanted that couldn't do it. And so
McDonald's starts at 40 now.
Is that right?
The jail starts at, the jail's $20 an hour.
Is that just good? The detention officers 40?
It takes
Yeah.
us 9 years. You want to do 60. I mean, I gotta.
Yeah.
If you want to kick it up to 60, Prater and I'm sure Prater will approve 60.
To me, if we get the right person that understands development, we will have an ROI that's significant. Every dollar we get on a professional like that, we have contributions back to the program that will more than offset anything we pay them. Is the way I look at that. So I don't know that it has to be this board taking action on that, but let's continue the conversation on that.
Yeah, just give me a holler.
All right.
I'll give you one. Citizen participation, any citizen wishing to participate? Board comments, anybody have any
I
comments?
just want to follow up on what Madison referenced about working with the Arnold Foundation, and just so this board is aware, this could be a pretty significant undertaking for our program. Is again, when our team, when we look at, just to make a comparison to our state, you know, Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma would not be happy having a football program. We want a world championship football program. If you're OSU, you're not happy having a wrestling program. You want a great one. And our treatment court, we want to have a, an outstanding program. And we have fidelity to the all the best practices and building that. So in order to do that, we were looking at how many people should be on the program, in Western County, where should that be? We do think we have an opportunity to bring in a lot more people, reduce the amount of people that are going to prison from Oklahoma County, bring them in a diversion program, save money, makes our community safer. But how to do that right now when we have a program where everybody's already stretched to the max? Well, it's a process of getting the right levels of grant funding while you're kind of building your program, while you're actually trying to increase your program. And in order to do that, we've talked to Sue Ann. We've had a good discussion with her with kind of a proposal. And what our proposal is to kind of kick off is to hire a consultant who's she actually worked for a National Drug Court board. She's one of the instructors for, she's a PhD that's consulted with over 400 drug courts in the United States to help us kind of create a roadmap of what grant do we get, how do we build the program the right way. Sue Ann right now says she's willing to pay for the consultant. It could be close to $50,000 or more to give us a blueprint and a roadmap to think how it is that we grow and expand and where we get the grant money for, potentially even help us pay for a grant writer. So this is this is probably a 2 to 3 year initiative in terms of laying the groundwork, getting the studies in place so we know where to grow and how to grow. If we doubled the size of the program tomorrow, we would be crushed because we don't have the capacity for it. So you got to build the capacity while you're also building the flow. And so that's just coming down. I was really excited. Savannah's excited about it. And so it looks like we'll see where it goes. We'll keep you guys updated.
Great. Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously.
I approve on here.
Chair will call the meeting of the Veterans Treatment Court Advisory Board into session. Notice of the meeting is properly posted September 8th. The chair recognizes a quorum. Discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of July 15th, 2021 meeting, which are attached.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Huddleston. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Discussion regarding program status report for from the coordinator.
Good afternoon, everyone. Pretty straightforward. We have 44 participants, BTC. Of those, 40 are active. We do have one participant AWOL. We have one out of First Step, and we have 2 in custody at Oklahoma County, 1 pending DOC transfer, 1 pending new charges. We do have 40 participants that are actively testing CRP labs.
Anybody have any questions? Next.
All right, thank you.
Next item is discussion and possible action regarding creating accounts and sub-accounts. We do have an account. It is Veterans Court, Treatment Court Administrative Funds. It includes money that is paid for the salary of our coordinator through the district attorney and a partial reimbursement of the salaries of the public defender and the district attorney. We are also paying some indigent testing, though we don't have a lot of money. And if Judge Stoner wants to get reimbursed for going to that conference, he needs to give me his information, or he won't. We probably, actually, Judge, if you wait, Department of Mental Health is 4 months behind on paying us. So,
I get it.
yeah,
I get it.
we'll be okay as soon as we get it, yeah,
This
whatever. So, that is,
Can I ask Bob though, on this particular, on the sub account, we were trying to create an account for for veterans to deposit their, just their user fees.
we can't do it, it's illegal, because there's no statutory authorization.
So
I
we're-
talked to Brenda Warren and
Well,
Jerry
I
asked.
saw the correspondence on that, and so my concern and my fear is that we're operating in illegal court, and if it's illegal to run the Veterans Court program, is that what you're saying?
No, it's illegal to assess a fee that is not statutorily authorized.
It's a fee
Remember, there
that,
was a lawsuit about 15 years ago against DPS, Department of Public Safety, wherein the lawyers got $1 million because DPS was assessing a fee that wasn't allowed by statute. If they change the statute and allow it, Judge, we can do it.
it just takes me a little bit of time to process as far as what, if we have a statute even says that we can have a veteran treatment court. That's my concern, because all this,
Yeah,
we don't
we-
even have a statute.
Is there a
saying we have
statute?
treatment
There's
court.
no statute.
But
There's
I
something in the legislature that allows for it. There's nothing that prohibits it. And we have funding, and the Department of Mental Health got a grant for us to do it. So I think you can do it. I mean, it's just a question.
Well, nothing prohibits that. That'd be my point around where if you have, is a statute allow me to give a community service for a sanction? So it can assess a sanction, a fee for a sanction. So it's like that we're dancing around what would be basically, I don't know, this is really not an argument between us. It's just having an account where veterans could deposit user fees, where there is some kind of contribution. And maybe it's I like to just follow if you don't mind, I'll just follow up with you to try to better understand what the.
Yeah, I was going to come by last week, but you weren't there. But I'll come by and talk to you about it, what Aspen's told me. I also talked to Prater and Nisha Wilson. Nisha was at work. Prater's also worried about, when we applied for the grant, we didn't say we were going to collect user fees. And that's a big deal, because we told the federal government this is how we were going to do this. And now we're going to sit there and change it. And we don't need the user fee. That's the real issue. If we really need the money, then you can make an argument.
No,
I don't want to take the responsibility, because somebody's going to come after us if we're wrong. I'm not.
Maybe there's a way around it. I'm saying that we have 4 years to figure out how to be self-sustainable, because this grant that we created this program on
2.5 years left.
2.5 years. And so we have to be building other income streams for financial stability. And the user fees, what we use in drug court, it works real well. Veterans actually have more money than people in drug court, because most of them are there on disability and they have the resource to pay. And so we've got to be getting to some kind of financial stability on that. So I think there is a need, but maybe the legal mechanism in which he may not be authorized to collect, but it doesn't mean the court can't order somebody to pay something over here. Maybe that's the issue, is where I want to get down to the details, because there could be a way to have a nonprofit entity as part of your, you make a contribution there for your user fees at a nonprofit entity that does that. But let's figure
I'm not sure. I think we better have, Steve, you need to talk to Mr. Prater, because Mr. Prater doesn't agree that we ought to be assessing veterans anything.
No, Mr. Prater's office is the one that created the handbook, which we actually had user fees in the handbook that was created by his office, who was actually, when we created it to begin with. That was it was primarily the team, and Ms. Burton that is the one that created
For Veterans Court?
For Veterans Treatment Court. We're trying to run it kind of like the drug court, and that's something that we do, and it's useful. And if you look at it's $1,000 a month that veterans be willing to contribute to the program, and they have the resources and it create financial stability. And we have to figure out a way. We have to figure out a way to be self-sustaining when the grant runs out. So
if you want to do it through a nonprofit and you want to do it personally, as long as this board doesn't approve it, because I'm not going to sit there and take any type of liability for what I think is an illegal fee.
Well, I'm worried we have an illegal program if that's what's going on here. We don't have an
I don't think
authorization.
it's an illegal program, but I think it's an illegal fee. There's a distinction between assessing a fee and having a program. You can have hundreds of programs.
But Maybe so. I know the devil's in the details on what's legal and what's not, so that's why I'm just trying to get the precedent on that, but we can follow up and talk in more detail.
Okay. Discussion of possible action, creating a website track, and where Judge already talked about this in the previous, in the mental health, we all think it's a good idea. Citizen participation, any citizens wishing to participate? Board comments? New business? Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. I gotta do some more comments.
See you later, Bob.
I come by, Judge.
To me, it's on that fee, it's really, I think it's how we collect it. It's out of hours. And down. You may not be off. that.
These are-
That's
Maybe
right.
like the order-
Oh, of the
order
agendas?
contribution.
Okay, yes, so.
Yeah, you may not, maybe the court clerk's not authorized to accept, but there may be, as a court, just make a program if they're given notice ahead of time. I think people do community service. I think we all right.
No problem.
So just, they sign up for,
Yes.
Did you participate in that thing where they, sponge? Did you go to that?
No, they explained it. I
It
didn't.
was a week or so ago.
That's what explained it.
They had a,